Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require employers to offer flexible working and employment contracts and to advertise vacancies as suitable for flexible working unless certain conditions are met and for connected purposes. Anna Whitehouse was on her way to pick up her daughter from nursery, but a bag got stuck in a tube door and made her 12 minutes late. The nursery staff sat her down in one of those tiny children's chairs and sternly told her she would be charged £1 for every minute she'd kept the staff waiting. She felt like a failure as a parent, even though the delay hadn't been her fault. She resolved not to let something as trivial as a bag stuck in a door upset the delicate balance of her work and family life again. So she asked her employer if she could come to work 15 minutes early and leave 15 minutes late. A tiny change that would make juggling her career and her children work, but the request was denied. So she quit. And for the sake of just 15 minutes, Anna left a job she loved, and her boss lost a dedicated member of staff. Many, many women have similar stories. Every year, 54,000 pregnant women and working mothers are made redundant or pressurised to leave their jobs. And that's why Anna, better known as Mother Pucker, is now campaigning, along with the Fawcett Society, Pregnant and Screwed, the Young Women's Trust and the Fatherhood Institute, for better access to flexible working. I'm delighted to welcome some of those campaigners to Westminster today and grateful for the support of all those at home. The Flex for All petition has received nearly 30,000 signatures so far. And there's one comment on the petition which to me encapsulates the potential of this. Flexible means I can juggle family and work life without compromising one or the other. The 40-hour, 5-day working week made sense in an era of single-earner households and stay-at-home mums. But it no longer reflects a reality of how many modern families want to live their lives. We no longer divide neatly into breadwinners and homemakers. Our lives are more complicated than that, and better for it. Yep. And while some employers recognise this and are moving with the times, many are not. So it's time to shift the dial on flexible working. And as we do that, we will create more opportunities for more people, especially women and those with disabilities. We'll help close the gender pay gap. We will strengthen families by helping parents share caring responsibilities more equally. And it will be good for businesses too. So I'm asking the House to back this bill and make flexible working the default. Conservatives in government introduced the right to request flexible working, but in reality, just 9.8% of jobs paying over $20,000 are advertised as flexible. Figures are not available for people paid less than $20,000, but the situation is almost certainly worse. And the grounds on which a flexible working request can be denied are vague. All the onus currently rests on the employee to make the case for why they should get special treatment, and many feel they cannot even ask. The government recognises the current approach is not working and action is being taken to improve this. The Minister for Women and Equalities has set out her vision for gender equality at all stages, including support for organisations to introduce family-friendly policies. The Business Secretary is reviewing the right to request flexible working and consulting on whether employers should be required to consider whether a job can be done flexibly. This includes, for instance, home working, job sharing, or working different hours during school holidays. And this is progress. And I'm particularly thankful to my honourable friend, the Minister for Business on the front bench, for everything she is doing. But it is starting. All of this does start from a presumption against flexibility. And I ask, what if we flip the question and ask whether a job can't be done flexibly? How many more employers would find that actually it didn't make a difference where or when a piece of work was done, as long as it was done? We know how powerful the psychology of the opt-out is compared to that of the opt-in. Pensions auto-enrolment has successfully reversed the decline in the numbers of people saving into a workplace pension. 10 million more people are now saving for their old age thanks to the policy. So let's apply that same principle to flexible working and ask employers to opt out of flexibility. Madam Deputy Speaker, of course I recognise that not all jobs can be done flexibly. Sometimes you do need to be in a specific place at a specific time. Employers must be able to set out why a job can't be done flexibly, But this bill is about shifting the norm. And the potential benefits to individuals, businesses and the economy as a whole are huge and backed up by evidence. Closing the gender employment gap could add an extra $150 billion to our GDP by 2025. And while female employment is at a record high, 42% of women are working part-time, compared to 13% of men. And women working fewer hours and accruing less experience over their careers is a major contributor to the gender pay gap. And how many of those part-time jobs could actually be full-time, flexible jobs? While there are some jobs that do demand set hours and set location, we are still a long way from realising the full potential of flexible working. According to the TimeWise Foundation, 1.5 million people are trapped in low-paid part-time jobs below their skill level because they can't find an appropriate new job with the working pattern they need. With super-fast broadband coverage to reach 97% by next year and a full fibre network being rolled out across the country, it is now possible to do many, many jobs from anywhere, any time. And flexible working increases productivity. The average commute is 46 minutes a day and much longer for people in rural areas. This time could be better spent. Caring responsibilities are one of the top causes of short-term absence from work. But businesses that allow flexible working are less likely to report employees taking time off sick for family reasons. Research by Pregnant Then Screwed found that 81% of people who work flexibly are happier, and happier staff with a better work-life balance can be more productive and more likely to stay in their job. Employers, employees and managers agree that flexible working increases individual performance and is more motivating even than a financial bonus. Looking to the future, we know we must increase our productivity to stay competitive as a country. We work longer hours than many other countries, but we produce less. So flexible working is about making much smarter use of the hours in the day. Being more family-friendly helps employers recruit more women and enables more women to stay in work. Good for women and good for business. So, for example, Go Compare has seen a significant increase in female applicants from 40% to 58% since it started including positive messages about flexibility in job adverts. Employees who work flexibly are more likely to stay in their jobs. 70% of people who work flexibly say they would be reluctant to quit their job. The most gender-diverse companies are more likely to enjoy above-average profitability. And underusing women's skills is costing us 2% of GDP per year, so it's costing the economy billions of pounds. But let's not forget about men. 47% of fathers say they would consider a demotion to a less stressful job if it enabled them to spend more time with their families. That would be a huge potential loss of productivity, but could be prevented if more men could work flexibly. But men are less likely to make a request for flexible working and more likely to have a request denied. The barriers to requesting flexible working can be even greater for men because of old-fashioned perceptions about the ideal worker and the idea that caring for children is a woman's job. I spoke to a businesswoman the other day whose husband, a lawyer, had asked to work flexibly 1 day a week. His bemused employer responded by asking, "What's your wife doing?" It just shows how ingrained these assumptions are. Making flexibility the default would change workplace cultures for the better. And it's not just families that would benefit from more modern working practices, but disabled people too, many of whom would like to be working or working more. Flexibility helps anyone who may find the journey to work or rigid work hours a problem. To sum up, Madam Deputy Speaker, this bill builds on work the government is already doing. By allowing this bill to proceed today, we can go a step further towards making all jobs flexible by default, which would enable more women to stay at work and advance their careers after having children, would help close the gender pay gap and unlock productivity for businesses, will help employers recruit more diverse candidates, especially those with disabilities. It will change the way we think about the work-life balance, shifting the culture in favour of flexible work and equal parenting, grasping the power of new technology to free workers from the 9 to 5, giving people choice about how they live their lives. Flexible working is the future, so I commend this bill to the House.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Victoria Prentice, Rachel McLean, Tracy Crouch, Vicky Ford, Eddie Hughes, Emma Reynolds, Tom Tugendat, Tracy Braben, Gillian Keegan, Kirstine Hare, Andrew Salou, and myself, Madam.
Helen Whately.
Thank you very much. Flexible working bill.
Second reading what day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Thank you. Good speed. The clerk will now proceed to read the orders of the day.
Courts and Tribunals Online Procedure Bill Lords, second reading.
Now.
Minister Paul Maynard to